down the West African coast, I crossed into Guinea-Bissau, a country I knew little about, tucked quietly between Senegal and Guinea. Once a Portuguese colony, echoes of its past still linger in the faded colonial streets. To my surprise, the capital's main roads felt unexpectedly modern, lined with freshly built government buildings and wide boulevards that contrasted the older neighborhoods. I ventured briefly beyond the capital to dive into the energy of local street markets as I prepared for the next leg of my journey, an island expedition to the Bijagos archipelago, launching from the city's small, weathered port. And here's how it went. Hey guys, thanks for clicking the video. Real quick, if you find this video helpful or entertaining in any way and you want to help support the channel and this type of travel content, you can become a monthly Patreon by clicking the link in the description, or you can leave a one-time super thanks on the YouTube platform. No one's paying me to make these videos. I simply do it because I'm passionate about bringing these foreign destinations, cultures, and experiences to you. So if you want to help the channel out, definitely leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. That really helps as well. So thanks for your support. Now let's get to the adventure. Good morning guys, and welcome to my 134th country of Guinea-Bissau. I have just continued overland down the west coast of Africa. I was doing Senegal, then I came into Gambia, then I went back into the southern part of Senegal there, and in the town of Ziguinchor, you can go to the consulate of Guinea-Bissau there and pay about $40 to get your visa before crossing overland into the country of Guinea-Bissau. And it was a long, bumpy journey once I entered the country here, but I have finally made it to the capital of Bissau, and we are right on the mouth of this little inlet here, and eventually I'm going to be getting the ferry from here out to the Bijagos Islands, which are just off the coast of Guinea-Bissau here, and that'll be one of the main reasons and destinations that I've come here. But since I'm in the capital city, I have about a day and a half to explore, and it really doesn't look like there's a ton to see or do here. But Guinea-Bissau was a former Portuguese colony, so you have a lot of these colorful old Portuguese homes and buildings that are semi-abandoned and kind of worn down now. And then the center of the city, it seems like they're modernizing this place a little bit. We have this massive boulevard that's just going up and down the main street of Bissau here, connecting the presidential palace to the port, which is lined with a couple hotels and shops, and you also have the Bissau cathedral and market down this main strip here. But yeah, this morning I'm starting at the Park of the National Heroes, which is this tall monument right on this main roundabout right in front of the presidential palace, and it's commemorating both the moving of the capital from Belamo to Bissau in 1941, and then also the independence of Guinea-Bissau from the Portuguese in 1974. So yeah, anyways, from here we have, again, that long boulevard that's going to take us down to the port. But before we head down the boulevard here, right behind the presidential palace, like a block or so, is a little cultural market where you can get some souvenirs and some local crafts from the Guinea-Bissau area. So let's start by walking behind the palace here and checking out the craft market. I have just walked about a block behind the presidential palace there, and I've come to the Coeros artisanal market. And so this is where you can find a lot of like the Guinea-Bissau crafts. There's some clothing, some wood carving, some paintings. It's just about 9 in the morning, so most of the shops are just setting up, but let me just give you guys a quick walking tour of some of the arts and crafts that you can buy here at the Coeros market. So I've just been walking around the Coeros market here, and it's very colorful. It's this big triangle, and you have a lot of these colorful clothes, and then you have these really giant masks and wood carvings, and I was very tempted by one of the shirts here, even tried it on. Might pick it up later, but then I also picked up like a little tiny wood carved mask because I can only take small souvenirs on my long journey here. But yeah, very colorful place to just walk around, and very peaceful, very cool because you're in the shade here. And again, the shopkeepers have been actually really nice, not too pushy most of the time here. And yeah, fun little place to walk around and get a little sense of the Guinea-Bissau artistic culture here. So anyways, I'm gonna head out and probably start heading back towards that main boulevard of the city and show you guys the rest of Bissau here. Before heading to the main strip of the capital here, I wanted to take you guys just a little southwest of the city here to Marcato Bond, which is a little bit more of this colorful, bustling local market feel that's just about half a mile off of that main boulevard. So this just feels a little bit more hectic and a little bit more like local Guinea-Bissau life. So let's just give you guys a quick walking tour of Marcato Bond before checking out the more manicured capital boulevard district. So just above the Marcato Bond and the main street that goes out of the capital here, I've come up on a bridge where you can just get this overview looking down on the crazy bustling market below. You can see all of the yellow buses, blue taxis just going down the main road. It's a pretty cool view from up here. So yeah, eventually I'm gonna try to go down into the chaos, but I don't want to be in there too long, so I'll just give you guys a quick walking tour of some of the markets down there. That was a real quick walking tour through the Marcato Bond. It was honestly a little crazy, and I didn't quite feel safe with the camera. A lot of people were like yelling and shouting at me with the camera. So anyways, hopefully it gives you a quick idea, and I think maybe if you were just doing some shopping here without any valuables, it would be fine. But cool to see a little bit of the Guinea-Bissau local culture, because it feels too like manicured down in the capital region. So anyways, I'm gonna start walking back towards that Capital Boulevard there and show you a little bit more of the city of Bissau. As soon as you leave the Marcato Bond, you're right in front of the National Assembly building, and then from here the city just turns into this very clean, peaceful, tranquil place. So I mean, I've been surprised how quiet the main part of the capital city is, but to go to the market is just a completely different kind of chaos. So really interesting to see. But yeah, anyways, so the National Assembly building is this really interesting shaped building. You have these white and then these pastel pink colors and this kind of like dome and these wings to it. Very interesting. And then from here we have a long boulevard that's going to take us back to the Presidential Palace and the National Heroes Memorial. So yeah, let's head back there, because then that'll be the main boulevard that takes us to the port. After that little detour going around the palace and then around to the busy market there and seeing like some of the local culture, I've finally made it back to the Park of National Heroes where we started this morning, and it's amazing how just a few blocks that way was just the crazy chaos of all of these buses and taxis and the market and so many people and shops. And then you come to this like Capitol area here next to the presidential palace and some of like the main hotels that go down to the port, and it's a completely different vibe. You just have this very wide open boulevard. It's like a lot quieter, a lot more organized, and yeah, just a very interesting contrast here. So anyways, being back here, we are gonna work our way down this main wide boulevard and then eventually making it down to the port and the Portuguese quarter. So yeah, let's take a little walk down the main boulevard. I've just walked about halfway down this main boulevard that's right in the capital of Bissau here, and I'm right in front of the cathedral, and right across the street is the central market. And we have these very nice wide open streets, and then right down the middle you have this median that has these really nice park benches, and you have all of the blue taxis that are just going up and down this main boulevard. But it's very, honestly, pretty quiet and pretty calm and chill compared to the other market that we were just checking out a little bit ago. And during the late 1990s, 1998, 1999, Guinea-Bissau had a brutal civil war, and they said it destroyed a lot of this downtown part of Bissau here. So it looks like they've been slowly rebuilding this part of the city. You have a couple of these nicer government buildings, but you also still have a couple of these older remains and ruins of some old government buildings as well. So it's just a very interesting place, and it looks like they're constantly in development and construction of this area, but honestly a very nice wide open boulevard. So in a second here, we're going to check out the cathedral, but right across the street is the Marcato Central, and I don't know if it's open or if there's much to see here, but let's check out the central market and then we'll check out the cathedral across the street. I've just entered the central market here, and this is the cleanest and most organized central market I've seen in an African city. You just have this beautiful building. It's like nicely designed and colorful, and again kind of clean, and there's a lot of just these colorful fruits and vegetables. And then we also have a lot of the cashews, which is one of the main exports here of Guinea-Bissau. So then they also have a couple other like grocery stores and stuff in this central market. So yeah, nice and clean, but yeah, not too much to see. So anyways, let's head out the market here and back across the street and check out the Cathedral of Bissau. Just across the street from the central market is the Bissau Cathedral, which originally was built here in 1935. And again, this was a Portuguese colony, so there was a little bit of the Catholic Church influence in Guinea-Bissau at the time. So the Portuguese ministers brought Catholicism to the region of Guinea-Bissau. Yeah, anyways, on the outside you have this nice, like, beautiful garden area, but let's head in and check out the inside of the Bissau Cathedral. that was a brief look into the Bissau Cathedral, and as you enter, it's just a really nice open white and yellow look to it, and then there's a chandelier right above the altar, and then at the front and then all along the sides you have this really colorful stained glass that just illuminates the church a little bit. And then as you're entering, there are two side altars that you can just poke your head into as you're entering the church. But yeah, very interesting to see that here in Guinea-Bissau. So anyways, from right behind the Bissau Cathedral, we have a little bit of this old Portuguese village where some of the Portuguese architecture remains a little bit, and you have these little narrow alleyways and colorful pastel architecture. So yeah, let's head behind the cathedral and check out the little Portuguese part that remains in Guinea-Bissau. We have just been walking around this little old Portuguese town, and you have these colorful pastel buildings, and you have these balconies that come up over the streets and these little narrow alleyways. There are a few little like cafes and bars, but it's honestly a very quiet area, but very beautiful. And you just have these old like ruins, and right behind me here, the pink building I think was the old governor's palace, and right behind the pink building you have some views looking out on the port there, and then you have all of these blue and white taxi cabs just driving by against the pastel colors. So yeah, very cool little place to walk around, but again, feels so like quiet, almost like a ghost town on these little side streets of the old Portuguese town. So yeah, and then right on the edge of the old Portuguese town is an old Portuguese fortress. So let's just head out of these colorful little streets and show you guys what remains of the fortress there. I've just come to the edge of the Portuguese town, and we've come to the Sao Jose de Amura fortress, which was an old Portuguese fortress, which is now a military barracks. But as you're walking along some of the castle walls here, you can still see some of the cannons that remain over the castle walls and some of the bastions on the edge of the fort here. And then from here you can also look down a little bit on the port area here, the commercial port, where you can see all of the shipping containers and stuff that are being shipped in and out of the port of Guinea-Bissau. So yeah, very interesting. Again, this is a military barracks, so I'm not going to get too close or photograph it too much, but it is kind of cool to just walk around these old military walls, see some of the cannons. But I'm going to head back to that central boulevard. There were a couple more statues that I wanted to show you guys, and then we'll head to the port of Guinea-Bissau. I have just come back to the main boulevard that comes right down the center of Bissau here, and there's a little bust of this man called Amilcar Lopez Cabral. It says something about September 1924. I'm honestly not sure who that is. If I had the internet, I would look it up for you. But then also at the end of the plaza here, we have this tall black monument that has almost like the black fist of power, but it's in this very geometric style. And there's this nice little park and plaza. There's like a little amphitheater there. And then right behind me, we have the main port of Bissau. So let's head down and get a look at the water overlooking the port of Bissau. I have just come all the way to the end of the boulevard, and right at the end of the boulevard is the entrance to the first pier here at the Guinea-Bissau port, and this is where you need to come if you're going to be going off to Boubaké and some of the Bishago Islands. And I just bought my ticket for tomorrow, where I'm going to get one of these little pirogue boats out to the islands. It's going to be a 3 or 4 hour trip, so it's going to be quite the journey and quite the experience. They also have a ferry, but it's just very few days that the ships are going out to the island, so you really have to plan your trip around those couple of days that the boats are going out to the island here. So was able to secure that ticket, which feels good, so I'm all set for tomorrow. And here at the port, we can see a little bit more of the commercial port there. And then one really interesting thing about Guinea-Bissau as well is it's actually one of the only countries in the world that doesn't generate any of its own power. So off of the edge of the port here, we have the Car power ship, which is a power ship owned and operated by the Turkish government. And that ship right out there is what supplies all of the power to the whole country of Bissau. Yeah, very interesting to see that. And then from the port here, we can see the back of some of those colorful colonial buildings that remain along the port here. There were a few colorful boats that are like docked right along the port. Anyways, that's about it for some of the main things to see here in Bissau. Honestly, it's not that vibrant of a capital. There wasn't a ton to see, but it was interesting to see the old Portuguese town, some of the colorful pastel buildings there. It was really cool to see the blue and white taxis and the yellow and blue minibuses that are just taking people all throughout the city, and then to get outside of the little capital district there and see the main hustle and bustle of that market was really interesting, because the other part of the capital here was almost a bit of a ghost town. It was quite quiet, and because of the civil war in the 90s there, you could see a couple of the destroyed buildings from that, and then some of the buildings that have been rebuilt over the last 10-20 years. So hopefully that gives you an idea of some of the things that you can see and do if you're stuck here in Bissau as you're waiting for either the ferry or the pirogue out to some of the Bishago Islands, or just passing through on your way down Western Africa. So yeah, that's about it for the video. I'll see you guys tomorrow when I'll be coming down here to the port to grab the pirogues out to the Bishago Islands, and really looking forward to showing you guys that part of Guinea-Bissau. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow.